Okay, yeah, good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure to welcome you to the QBN webinar on public funding opportunities for quantum technologies in the European Union and in Germany. And yeah, as you know, quantum technologies are the deepest of deep tech, and nobody is able to build this revolution or an industry alone. So we need collaborative efforts to turn research results into products and services. And what is the best argument and the barriers for working together? Public funding for projects, I would say. And we have a lot here in Europe and in Germany. And today we want to provide you an overview about the different funding opportunities in Germany and the European Union. And for a deep dive, you can contact the experts and also us from QBN and connect with them in our networking session at the end. Because beside funding, collaboration between partners are a fundamental element of collaboration projects. So please don't miss the most valuable part of this webinar, the networking session at the end, where you can network with the experts, but also with the European quantum community. So let's have a short look on the agenda. We will hear from the German management, German Aerospace Center and the management organization or the project management organization of the Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy about their current funding program on quantum computing applications for industry. And after that, we will have a look at the Horizon Europe program, with its European Innovation Council, European funding for high innovative SMEs, and the part in the Horizon Europe of quantum technologies. And after that, there will be a networking session for the whole community and with the experts. So just a little bit about the housekeeping. So the webinar has been recorded. You can watch it on demand on our YouTube channel, and you can ask always questions in the Zoom Q&A section, or if you are watching it on YouTube, just use the chat function. And if you have any questions after the webinar, please don't hesitate to contact us about our email address. So just a few words about QBN. So we are an international network to promote the transformation of the European quantum community to a strong quantum industry here in Europe. And we do this by promoting networking, business creation, and the development of organizations in the field of quantum technologies. Why we do it with a network? So we believe in the power of innovation networks, because an ecosystem which we already have. We have a great community, a great ecosystem, and a network is more than an ecosystem, because in an ecosystem, every person, every organization is in charge of their own partnerships, their business development, their visibility, and so on. And by adding a cluster management to support all stakeholders and manage the collaboration processes within this ecosystem, provides additional value to everyone of the stakeholders. Like business and collaboration opportunities, extensive hands-on support, valuable networking opportunities, fast access to private and public funding, and many more. This was too fast. So, and QBN provide a colorful bunch of activities and services, including networking, collaboration, startup support, marketing support. We have a quantum job board. We support in business development. We provide fast access to private and public funding, and of course, tailored individual support services. And one of our key elements of our network activities are the QBN meetings, the kind of working group meetings, expert meetings. And we want to provide support collaborative innovation as well as technology and knowledge transfer with regular meetings per subfield of quantum technologies, means on quantum sensing, imaging, metrology, on quantum software and hardware, on quantum communication, and also on quantum enabling technologies like photonics and low temperature physics. And with this, we want to provide experts from potential end users from academia and from industry, a trust-based environment for professional exchange and personal networking. So these QBN meetings are, as I already mentioned, not ordinary webinars like this or online conferences. They have a very high quality. They are by invite only, and provide valuable market insights, business and networking opportunities. We have very small groups and a handpicked audience. And the focus of every session is on what can we do for each other. With the objective, of course, to identify and discuss relevant challenges in R&D and business, and to initiate new collaborations and partnerships between the participants. Just a few save the dates for the upcoming QBN meetings and webinars. So in 2 days, we have our next QBN meeting on quantum computing for finance, supported by the Fraunhofer IIF. Next week, we have one QBN webinar on diamond quantum sensing with Element 6, QNAMI, and QAND. And 2 weeks after that, we have a QBN webinar on diamond quantum sensing. It's a full day webinar. And one on quantum simulation or quantum software and hardware regarding chemistry and material science, supported by HQS quantum simulations. And for October, we are in the organizational phase for the QBN meeting on quantum computing software and algorithms with a focus on machine learning or quantum machine learning. So I want to invite you to join QBN and build with us a strong quantum industry together. And if you are interested in job openings, news from the QBN members, upcoming events, and so on, just follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. We are also now on Facebook. And if you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, you would receive also upcoming news and new webinars. So with this, I want to provide a very short overview over the Europe's status quo. We have brilliant researchers here in Europe, a vibrant community, of course, extensive public funding, so over 7 billion euros at the moment. Little activity of private investors, could be a little bit more, but we have an increasing community support through a lot of regional, national, and European initiatives. Here are a few, and QBN, as I said, is definitely a European one. And it's open to the global community, which are interested in the European ecosystem. In Germany, they were announced 2 billion to build quantum computer and to promote quantum technologies in general. And I think you have heard of the quantum computing roadmap and the agenda for quantum systems, which has recently announced. And you can download this in the news section of our website on quantumbusinessnetwork.de. Just to give you a very short introduction into the roadmaps, and of course the goals are of the roadmap to build in 5 years an internationally competitive quantum computer with at least 100 individual controllable qubits. In 10 years, we want to have here in Germany a quantum advantage for practical applications. And in 50 years, a fully error-corrected system for solving universal problem classes. And what is also very important within this roadmap, the advice of the experts who developed this roadmap is that it's necessary and very important to involve the users in the very beginning and to strengthen the ecosystems with a lot of different activities. And for the agenda quantum systems, the goals are to close the value chain gaps between potential users to manufacturers of enabling technologies, to generate innovation and technology transfer, to support enabling technologies, to promote interdisciplinary work and also the talent generation, and to increase people's awareness and understanding. And this is the agenda to 2030. As I said, you can download this and have a closer look. Unfortunately, they are on German, but maybe Google Translator or other translators will help you with this. So just to give you a very short overview of the different current calls here, and of course there will be more in the future. We have two different founders, I would say, funders. It's BMWi, the German Federal Ministry of Education and Research, and the German Federal Ministry of Economics and Energy. And we will hear about their current call from the DLR in a few minutes. For this overview, we have a lot of calls regarding quantum computing for hardware, but also for software. On the application side, we have one on quantum communication. We have also one on quantum-based measurement technologies or metrology, which are open for different stakeholders. Some are open for companies, universities, and RTOs. Some are only for SMEs, like the support services or the general support for SMEs, SME Innovative, and the support for startups to found startups and scale them is the last funding measure here, the enabling startups in quantum technologies and photonics. And some are only accessible for universities. Okay, yeah, this is a short overview. You can also go on quantumbusinessnetwork.de/funding. There you have all current funding opportunities in Germany and Europe. And yeah, okay. That's it from my side. And now I would hand over to the DLR, the German Aerospace Center, which are the Project Management Association of the BMWi. And yeah, I would like to welcome Johann Schmidt and Markus Zabelberg and also Gerd Hambach, which will show you a little bit or give you a deeper insights into the current funding measure.
Yeah.
So, Johann.
Yes, thank you.
I will stop sharing my slide, and then the virtual stage is yours.
Then the virtual stage is mine. Thank you very much for these opening remarks, and thank you very much for having us here in this webinar, where we can present our latest funding call, Quantum Computing Applications for Industry. I'm very happy to be here together with my colleagues Markus Zabelberg and Gerd Hambach from the DLR Project Management Agency. And we will spend a few minutes to present our agency before we will focus on the current call. And we have left space for questions in the end. But as was mentioned, you can also already start typing the questions in the Q&A box below, and we will see that we answer most of the questions. And we're also happy to be here for the networking stage in the end. Let me begin by introducing the DLR Projektträger, the DLR Project Management Agency. If only I can change my slides. Now, here we go. The DLR Projektträger is one of the largest project management agencies in Germany. We have over 1,300 employees. We work for more than 11,000 projects and have worked with more than 2 billion euros of funding. And every day we build bridges between politics on the one side and research, education, and innovation on the other side. On the politics side, we work for several large federal and state ministries in Germany, private foundations, but also the European Union. And we do this by building on our 3 strong pillars. We provide analysis and strategic consulting. We have our core work of funding and research management. And we also work through communication and dialogue. And the DLR Projektträger is one of the largest project management agencies in Germany. And it's the only one that has such a broad range of topics, where we go from the social sciences, humanities, all the way to natural sciences, with topics ranging from things like the working environments of the future, biodiversity, to things more closer to us, closer to heart, like artificial intelligence, digitalization. We address strong challenges like climate change, equal opportunities, and we work with things like Industry 4.0 and electromobility. The 3 of us, we are working in the division of the digital technologies and application, which is, as mentioned, is in close collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs. And our main goal is to bring digital technologies forward, bring them towards applications. And there's a broad range of topics that we have, and I've only picked a few here to represent what kind of things we work with. So for example, we have a current showcase program on secure digital identities, where it's about having your identity in a digital form where you can log into different services in a very self-sovereign manner. We have funding calls open for 5G campus networks. A large part of our work in the past years has been on AI, where we're working with the AI innovation competition. As mentioned, we work with Industry 4.0, where we had the program PACE. And lately, we've also started funding quantum computing with our call Quantum Computing Applications for Industry, which brought all of us here. And I will now pass the word to my colleague, Markus Sabelberg, who will present our funding program a little bit deeper. Here you go, Markus.
I rather should unmute myself first. Thank you, Johan, for the introduction of the DLR-PT. Quick addition, you definitely should add the PT. We are completely independent from the main DLR, which are different entities with different tasks, just to be clear. So about this call, you can find the call if you follow the link shown on the top, digitale-technologien.de, which is basically digital technologies in German, and go for calls for proposals. Or if you prefer the convenient way, you can use the QR code here on the right side. As mentioned, the call is called Funding Program Quantum Computing Applications for Industry. And if you consider applying, you should hurry up as it ends in more or less 2 weeks. If you have ideas, you can participate. And as Johan mentioned, this is with the BMWi, which is the Ministry for Economic Affairs. Most funding calls so far has been from the BMWF, which is the Ministry for Science. But we realized that from completely science topic, we have to go more into industry to actually make this topic relevant for big companies, corporates, and the whole German industry. Next slide, please. So what is the call about? So as I said, this topic has been mainly driven by scientific players, and a lot of development has been going on with hardware. We want to go a step further and actually make it relevant for the industry, specifically the German industry, and boost the technology levels that are above the hardware level, so the software and applications. So actually really make it relevant for the industry, and to have use cases that are actually solving problems and not are just theory based. So to give you a broad idea how to reach this decoupling of hardware and software, we had several topics that could give you a slight hint what could be basis for the topics, which are shown here on the right. So some basic generic development tools and environments which can be used by software engineers to actually create relevant applications, which is now point B. So for engineers, for example, how can they use the technology without any deeper understanding of the underlying technology, but still use the whole potential? Another topic that could be shed light on is the interaction between quantum computing systems and conventional computers, how to optimize both systems with interaction with each other. Another topic which we think is quite interesting is actually to develop strategies and methods to actually analyze problems and actually understand which use cases can be really relevant for quantum technologies to actually build application for it. And as I said, the development of the hardware components is not done yet. There's still a race for the best physical system. You somehow need to rearrange or to co-design the software and the hardware developments. So actually, we are looking for method strategies how to adjust those two developments with each other. So yeah, this was just a quick overview. You can find more information on the website. Next slide, please. Just to give you a little bit some key facts to the call. So the total budget for this call is 40 million, which is comparatively low compared to the 2 billion euros set up from the Germany. But as we said, we are mainly focused on software, not hardware. So which should be less costly. Also, this is probably one of the first as this topic, quantum technology, just started to be relevant for the industry. You can apply in consortia consisting minimum of 3 partners. Of those 3 partners, there should be at least 1 solution provider, someone who can apply this, the developed solution, and 1 scientific entity that is actually supporting the whole project. As I said, the deadline is the 30th of June. And another important information, as I were told that in the audience, there are not only German participants, but also non-German participants. It is possible to participate in this call, although it's a national call, a German national call, to foster the German industry. But you can participate either without funding, or at least without funding from the German side. If there are other funds from other countries, it is possible to get funding from there as subcontractors. But you have to know that you have no right to the IP of the results development projects. So the partner who's contracting you gets the rights to the IP. Or if you can prove that you utilize the results of the projects in Germany. This is, for example, possible if your company has a subsidiary in Germany. Those have been just quick facts. I can highly recommend, if you need more information, go to the website I've shown before. On the bottom, there's like a box with more information. There you find the whole document, some FAQ, yeah, the framework from the BMWi, which actually gives more information. And if you have questions anyway, you can contact Johann Schmidt, Gerd Hembach, or me. If Johann, can you? You can contact me. So Johann has been presenting the DLRPT. I've presented the call itself, and Gerd Hembach has not been speaking yet, but he is the most experienced with this funding business. If you have any specific questions, probably he will be the one who can answer it in the following.
Okay, thank you, Markus. That brings us to the end already. And I see we have a first question already.
Yeah, thank you very much, Johann and Markus. There is already a first question, and yeah, if there are more questions, just put them in the Q&A box. And the first question for you is, for international players to be part of this call, do they have to fulfill all 3 conditions? I think the 3 conditions of the last slide. Yeah.
Yeah, I can answer this question. Yes, as I said, it's you apply in consortia, which means a group of different partners. So it's it can't be that one entity fulfills all three conditions. You have to have at least three partners, and so each partner has to fulfill one of the functions. Yeah, I hope I could answer your question. I also see the second question. If there is no further question to the first one, can the proposal be written in English or should it be in German only? Yeah, unfortunately, it's German only.
Okay, maybe we can change this in the future. There's also a third question. Can you describe more about the solution provider?
Basically, software developer. I mean, it's a really broad term. Rather think about what are the other two entities, then it will be a lot easier to distinguish between the solution provider and the other. So solution provider is basically the one that develops this solution, which are the mentioned topics from my side, whereas the other entity, for example, the applicant, has certain requirements towards the solution, how this should look like, what he needs. And the scientific advisor basically puts the specific solution or the specific problem in a more general term, so you actually can transfer this specific problem into general problems, how to distribute this solution and actually foster not only those companies and partners that participate in the funding call, but actually also other companies and players that might have similar problems.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. There's one more question. Can UK businesses apply if they have a German office despite Brexit?
Yeah, the Brexit question is always a confusion one. I would double check with Gerd, but as I said, you have three different possibilities to participate. If you don't have the subsidiary in Germany, the option number 3 is not relevant for you, but you can have a partner that is actually contracting you in Germany. This might be a case, or you operate without funding from the German government. We have many calls where actually we foster international collaborations. So we fund the German side, and for example, the UK funding is funding the British side. So yeah, you still have the first two options.
And maybe that clarifies also the first question a little bit more. So you don't have to fulfill all three of these conditions if you're a non-German player, but any of the three would work. So this is 3 different opportunities to participate in the call as a non-German company.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. There is another question which is very interesting. Are there any plans for the second half of this year for quantum hardware calls within DLR?
Maybe I can answer that question. As Marcus said, we are very much focused on application side and on bringing the technology closer towards the market, especially as we're funded by the Ministry of Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs. So I can't guarantee anything, but as mentioned, like our main focus is to bring applications forward. So I can't guarantee that there will be a pure hardware call from our side. But as shown in the beginning, there are many calls from our colleagues from the Federal Ministry of Research and Education.
Yeah, and for them, it's I think quite the same, that you have to have a subsidy here in Germany. And I think it's also necessary to be connected to the ecosystem and be involved in this, and also show that you utilize or exploit the results of the project in Germany. This is always necessary. And yeah, so we can also help with this. Not for this call, I think it would be too late, but maybe for the next one you can help with this. Okay, there is one last question, and yeah, if there are other questions after that, you can answer them maybe in the Q&A section. The first point of your previous slide, non-German businesses can apply in consortium, but only the other German-based members are the consortium which will get funding. I think you mentioned this already, but maybe you can explain it a little bit more.
I think actually it's a different question behind it. So yes, it's only the German partners get funded, but then you ask yourself probably, so what's the benefit in participating in this call if not get funded? You still a problem that is that huge that you can't solve it yourself, but you're rather dependent on a network, a community. Support, it's just supporting by the other partners. So basically you're dependent on the partners you apply with, and still can drive a solution, and also yeah, can use the final result.
Okay, yeah, then thanks again. There is one general question that I can answer. If we can distribute the materials after the webinar, and I think if everyone is okay with this, we can share it with the participants after the webinar. And also, if there are some questions, they can come back to you with these after the webinar. Okay, yeah, then thanks again, Johann, Markus, and Gerd for this great overview. And now we will come to the European view, and I want to welcome Natalia Garcia Mosa, who is head of the unit SME Advisory Services, and she will tell us a little bit more about the IEC funding, Pathfinder, and so on. And yeah, looking forward to it. Welcome, Natalia.
So, thank you very much, Johannes. I think you are already seeing my presentation.
Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you, Johannes, for the invitation and for giving us the opportunity to give you a short introduction into the European funding opportunities. From my side, for the high innovative SMEs, and my colleague Pantalaimon Panagiotou will also give a brief overview on the funding opportunities for collaborative projects, also for the scientific community. So, well, we are at the European level, but also we are speaking about international level, because for some of the call for proposal from some of the funding instruments, also international partners are eligible to participate. So just a short information, because I know that today we have international participants there. So as Johannes mentioned before, we are the Bavarian Research Alliance here in Bavaria for mainly the Bavarian participants, but we are experts in the European funding programs for research and innovation. And so even if I'm going to focus the information on the funding instrument for SMEs, I would like to spend some words about our organization before we start with the program, because I think it is important to understand the context and how we are working and how we support the companies intending to participate there. So here you have some information about the BayFOR, and then the overview of the European Innovation Council as the main program for SMEs, fostering the innovation and the commercialization of the high innovative ideas all over Europe. So let us start with our organization. The Bavarian Research Alliance was founded in 2008, and it is an initiative of the Bavarian universities and University of Applied Sciences. So our main target group are the scientific community in this region in Germany, in south of Germany, and the main objective was to support all this community in participating successfully in the European research area. So practically, or at the operational level speaking, is just to try to receive as much money as possible from the European Commission for research and innovation projects to Bavaria. So at the same time, we are of course promoting Bavaria as a location for sciences, innovation, and that implies also the supporting services in finding international or European partners for the European collaborative projects. We are based in Munich. Our headquarters are here, but we also have an office in Nuremberg and, of course, in Brussels. And just here some figures from 2019. We supported 202 proposals, and we achieved more than 35 million euros for Bavarian partners participating in European research and innovation projects. Thus, it's, I have to say, quite a lot, because I think you are aware of that. The competition at European level is very hard. So in order to achieve these results, we have several scientific departments specialized in different topics like new technologies, new materials, transport, environment, or renewable energies. So you find there experts in these topics, but also in European programs. I mean, in how to prepare your proposals. So that is the big advantages of working with us. And for the Bavarian partners, for the Bavarian actors, our services are for free, because we are a public company. We are totally and 100% financed by the Ministry of Science and Research in Bavaria. So the services for the Bavarian scientists or researchers and SMEs are for free. Which kind of services we are talking about? Well, we understand ourselves as full service provider, and that means not only first and general information about the European programs and policies fostering innovation and transnational cooperation for research, but we are going beyond that, of course. We are working together with the proposers in defining the idea, in checking if they are eligible for the programs or for call for proposals. We are supporting them in giving this touch of European dimension that the proposals need in order to have chances to receive the funding. And there are some times where the BayFOR is also partner in the projects. It's not our core business, but it's also a possibility to just take over some activities like management or dissemination activities in the framework of a European project. We are also partners in the Enterprise Europe Network. And this is a very important information for the SMEs, not only for the Bavarian ones, but for the German and the international or the companies based in other countries, because this network is the biggest one worldwide, supporting small and medium enterprises in topics about the European Union. I mean, topics regarding internationalization, internal market, legislation of the European Union, European certification, or European funding, not only for research and innovation, but for many other activities that only SMEs can implement. So the Enterprise Europe Network is a network active since the 18th, and we are just as an instrument of the European Commission in order to approach and to support the small and medium enterprises in the internal market. And of course, there is a motivation for that. As you know, I think 99% of the companies in Europe are small and medium enterprises. So if they don't receive the support, I don't think that is another way to achieve sustainable and better jobs in our society. So we have, we have more than 3,000 experts all over the world. I mean, there are also Enterprise Europe Network partners in Mexico, in Chile, in India, and South Korea, Egypt, Tunisia, Canada. So not only in the EU member states, and we are working embedded in host organizations. So we are hoping that the expertise in European topics, and also we have the local knowledge of the regional innovation ecosystem. So these Enterprise Europe Network advisors can join this information and expertise for the companies and also for the European Commission. Three main areas of activity: the international partnerships. We organize brokerage events. We have a very professionalized online platform with thousands of profiles of companies and organizations looking for partners for business or for technological technology transfer, and for the participation in research projects. We, of course, support the companies with advisory services in all the topics I mentioned before. And as in our case of the BayFOR, we support companies in getting the funding for research and innovation with a lot of kind of services. But just for you to know that this kind of support is for you, for small and medium enterprises, and that you can take advantage of that also for free. So I think we are still on time. Here we go with the information about Horizon Europe and the European Innovation Council. Horizon Europe is the framework program, and the European Innovation Council is a pillar of this program. Okay, so the Horizon Europe framework program is the biggest funding program for research and innovation, I think, all over the world. We have a budget of almost 100 billion euros for the next 7 years until 2027. And this budget is distributed in different pillars, as you see here, for the excellent science, for the mobility of the scientists and research infrastructures. We have more than 50 billion for collaborative projects focused on specific topics already given by the European Commission. So this is the part that my colleague Pantalaimon Panagiotou is going to take over after me. And this pillar, this part of the program works only with collaborative projects. That means you need at least 3 partners in order to apply, in order to submit a proposal. 3 partners from the 3 different countries. And this is a very important point to understand, that the focus is also the transnational cooperation. And then we have Innovative Europe. We have here 13 billion available for the promotion of the innovation, not only in SMEs, but also among the supporting organizations. Here again, this is the same organization, but just to focus on the European Innovation Council, because from this 13 billions, 10 are dedicated to this funding program, to the European Innovation Council, or EIC. How it works, this program for SMEs, for high innovative SMEs? Well, it's easy to understand if we take as orientation the technology readiness level of the idea or of the technology. Sorry, it is in German, but you can find this technology readiness level description also in English in Google or in the website of the European Commission. It's really well known and it's easy to understand. We have 4 instruments, and each of them is covering the different stages of the development of an innovative idea. Because this is the objective of the program, to foster the whole process of the from the earliest stage research until the commercialization of the product. So we have, this is a long way, not only in the medical sector, but in all the sectors, even if you are developing a software, it is a long way. And with this program, the European Commission is trying to cover the whole process. We have an instrument, this is the Pathfinder for the first and earliest stage. Then we have transition measures in order to, I would say, to verify the results of the Pathfinder projects. And then we have the accelerator, and this is the main and the most important instrument in the whole program. And with this instrument, you receive a funding in order to develop your technology until you have a final product ready for the market. And the prices are general prices at the world says for very big and with big impact ideas that are already running. The pathway here, I would like to go a bit in detail because even if some of the companies are not dealing with research, they can be part of this project. So when we are talking about early stage development, we are talking about also transnational cooperation and collaborative projects. And you need for these projects in or proposal in Pathfinder at least 3 partners from 3 different countries. And it is also requested to have very different profiles in the of the partners, and not only scientific partners, even if it is very research oriented. You always need, and with this program, it is a clear signal from the European Commission that the main objective of the whole program and of each of these instruments is to commercialize the products, to be able to put into the market, to give this impact to the main idea, to the innovative ideas, and to be able to go beyond the validation or to go beyond the great idea and just to go to the market with that, because this is the gap in Europe. Even if we have a lot of ideas and innovation, there is a gap in order to put it into the market. Also due to the situation with the investors, but in any case, this is a try of the European Commission. So in Pathfinder, the SMEs, even if they are not research center companies, are very welcome, because they are going to give these business inputs that a research organization don't have. You have call for proposals that are bottom up, they are open, you can apply with your idea, whatever it is, and you also have some challenges. For the bottom up call for proposal, we had a deadline and it was in the middle of May, but next year it's coming another one. Here it's important you receive 100% funding, 100% funding for a maximum of 3 million for the projects. Then we have the transition, and transition is a call for proposal, is an instrument only for the validation of the results of the Pathfinder projects. Even if you are not partnered in the Pathfinder projects, you can take the results, you can further develop or further validate the results only with a business perspective. And for this projects, you also receive 100% of the funding, a maximum of 2.5 million. And after that, if you already have achieved the technology readiness level 6, that means if you already test your idea, your software, your service, your product, your prototype in a relevant context, then you can apply for the accelerator and to receive funding in order to further develop the last activities, features of your prototype in order to have a final product. A final product is not only something that it works and it can be sell, but also that you have a company behind that you have a commercialization concept and you can guarantee the commercialization of the product. So this is the line. This is the idea behind the program. And now we are going to focus on the accelerator. I have 5 minutes. This is an exception in the funding landscape of the European Commission, because single companies can receive European funding. And if it is so, they have to apply alone. Even if you have a partner, you cannot work with them, but you can have subcontractors. So, the ideas that are eligible for this instrument are high innovative, are disruptive. We are not talking about incremental innovation, we are talking about disruption. So you have to be able to bring your arguments and to support your idea that it is really disruptive, and you have to quantify the problem, your solution, and how are you going to make money with this solution. And all of this information have to be supported with data, figures, statistics, etc. It's not only because you say it, but because it is. So this disruptive idea have to be able to create new markets or to approach a niche of the market in order to go beyond what is already on the market right now. And of course, there is a risk or many risks in order to do that. And the risk can be technical and also at the commercialization stage. But you have to describe them and to have an idea how to overcome the risks. The ideal candidate for this funding are scaling up companies, companies who already gone through the seed phase, who has a minimum experience with investors, with funding, with creating a team, with working with other stakeholders, support infrastructures, and then they are now in this stage where they are expecting to go to the market and to boom into the market. I mean, to be able to commercialize the product all over the world, or at least in Europe. You have a possibility, I mean, another feature of this instrument is that we are offering blended finance. So it's not only about a grant up to 2.5 million euros, but you have also the possibility to apply for blended finance for our equity part up to 15 million euros. So the grant part is to fund the development activities to achieve the technology readiness level 9 and the pre-commercial activities, the preparation of the market. But the equity is only to finance the part of the technology readiness level 9. The equity part is very interesting for, I would say, capital intense companies, but you have to think about bringing at least candidates or investors, venture capitalists, etc., that could also share the risk with the European Commission. It is something that the European Commission are not going to go alone in. A maximal 2 years. Well, here you have the description of the equity part, and the application process is really new and it's a bit complicated. We have a 3-stage process. You have here a short screenshot of the participant portal, the tender funding and tender portals of the European Commission. Here you can find all the official documents for the preparation of your proposal. And once you have registered in the portal and you have your PIC number, your participant identification code, you go to the platform of the EIC. And in this platform, you can prepare your proposal. That means that it works only online. You have a first short application that you can submit at any time, and then you receive your feedback, and it is positive. You can prepare the full application, and for the submission of the full application, you have at least 2 deadlines per year. For the short application, you need 3 files: a questionnaire that you find in the platform, pitch deck with no more than 10 slides, and a pitch video, no longer than 3 minutes. And with this information, 4 evaluators are going to decide if your idea and your company are innovative and ready enough in order to go for the next step. If you receive a positive evaluation from at least 2 of them, you can prepare your full application, and it is really complicated, I have to say. This is something also new from this year, and you have to have very clear ideas and a very clear vision of your business case, because you have to justify why you are the one that can commercialize this high disruptive innovation. It's more a business plan as a research proposal. It's very focused on the markets, on your solution of the innovation, the added value, the value chain, the supply chain, if you have everything there in order to scaling up. So if you are positive evaluated, you are invited to an interviewing process, and you have to pitch there. in front of a jury, and if it is also very positive evaluated, then you start with a grant, and also if you apply for blended finance with a due diligence. Very interesting is for me this seal of excellence. This is a certificate that received the companies that were at the last stage of the process and they didn't get the funding. In any case, the European Commission extended a certificate, this seal of excellence, and it should support the company applying for national or regional funds, because at the end of the day, the company almost got the funding from the European Commission. It's very good evaluated, but there were others that were better maybe, but it doesn't mean that this company doesn't work. So this seal of excellence should be at national level very good business card for other funding authorities. The interview is in front of 6 experts. Here you also have a new perspective in order to understand better the whole process. And this slide is just to tell you, you cannot apply forever and ever and submit and resubmit proposals until you get it. You have 2 opportunities, and that's what. So you have to use very good your opportunities. Fast track, they are very a new thing. If you have very good results for the Pathfinder, you can directly apply for the full proposal in the accelerator, for example, or transition, without having to submit the short application. Here you have overview of the main features. I want to finish because I think we are a bit late, but I have to say something about the team. This proposal is not only about technology and disruption or about your business case, it's also about your team, and you have to describe very well why these people is working there, which are the curriculum of them, and how you are working together. Because for the European Commission, and this is something that they observed in the last years with other similar instruments, if the companies don't have, if the candidate doesn't have a real mix and good team, also gender balance on with different profiles, also business developers and technical developers, etc. If it is not a very mixed team, it's difficult to succeed in the market. So just to mention, this is not like, okay, me and my friend, we understand us very good and it will be working. This is not the case. You have to justify also why this team and how it works. For your information, I have added the evaluation criteria. And for further information, you can click on these links, because here you can find very detailed information about this instrument. And here are my contact data if you have further questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Natalia. So are there any questions for Natalia? What are the timelines for the Pathfinder? Is one question here in the chat.
Timeline? How long does it take from the submission until they receive the, or how long does the...
I think, yeah, I think this is the question.
Normally it takes 8 months, but you also have to think about at least 2 or 3 months for the preparation of the proposal. then you wait maybe 3 months for the evaluators, and maybe there are some questions coming back, and well, I would say time to grant 8 months.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? How long is funding period for the same?
Sorry, again?
How long is the funding period for the same? Is the second question.
For the funding period, I mean, if
for the Pathfinder.
Funding period, I mean, how long had we the project?
Yeah, how long?
Yeah, I think between 2 or 3 years, maximum 3 years for Pathfinder. 3 million for 3 years. If I'm not wrong. No, but I think so. At the end of the day, it's really a very open research, and the consortium doesn't know if they are going to get the results they would expect. So I think 3 years is it's a very good duration for such a project. But it's interesting that for Pathfinder and Transition, it is possible during the project to apply for complementary activities, and in order to check the commercial viability of the idea, or some of the idea or some of the results you achieve. So you receive 50,000 euros for extra and complementarity activities in order to check or to validate the business potential of some of the results of the project during the project, and on top of this 3 million funding.
Okay, yeah, then thank you very much. For the moment, there are no further questions, but Pen has some technical problems to access Zoom. Does anyone know if there could be the problem of a wrong passcode? I think you also entered the passcode QBN webinar, but he is
Maybe
not able to join.
I sent him the same So I would say I stop to share my screen, and I can try to help him.
Are you in the home office or sitting next to him?
He's in home office today, and I'm in the office. But I think he's going to get it because sometimes it takes longer. I can try to. Did he said I can share the slides? Maybe would it help?
Yeah, maybe you can. You said you are a bit familiar with the Horizon Europe program. Maybe you can start with this, and I will call him and try to get him in this webinar.
Okay, so I open the presentation and I share again. Okay, of course you can.
Yeah, I will try to call him.
Here again. So we have do you see the presentation right now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So this is the part of my colleague Pantalaimon Panagiotou, because Robert Ebel had an unexpected problem and he's not going to be there. So Pantalaimon Panagiotou is the head of unit of the BayFOR unit for engineering, natural science, information and communication technologies. As I mentioned before, in the Bavarian Research Alliance, we have these scientific departments and other support departments. And in this case, this is a very important one because, of course, the new Horizon Europe is very focused on deep tech, new technologies, new materials, and all this kind of topics. So he had here explain also the role of the Bavarian Research Alliance in the regional innovation ecosystem in Bavaria. Maybe on top of was already mentioned before, we are working very close with other regional stakeholders. We are partners in the Bavarian Research and Innovation Agency. They have 5 partners. You see here behind me the logo of this agency. And this agency is a political initiative in order to put together under the same roof all regional agencies and I would say funding authorities dealing with innovation, with promotion of the new technologies and entrepreneurship. So we have there BioInnovative is the biggest agency of the regional Ministry of Economy in Bavaria, and promoting the technology transfer at international level. We have the Bavarian Foundation for Research and the project and the BayFOR and the Bavarian Patent Alliance. So in all these areas, you receive support from these Bavarian stakeholders, and we work together in order to give a more coordinated support to our clients, not only SMEs, but of course also universities, research centers, scientists, research, and so on.
So Natalia, sorry for interrupting you. Pan is here now, so maybe he can overtake. Yeah, thank you very much, Natalia. Thanks again for your
no problem.
First presentation and to take over the first slides. And
I stopped sharing mine.
Yeah, stop sharing it, and
he can start with the disclaimer. Thank you.
Right. Perfect. Thank you very much, Natalia. So yeah, and now I can officially welcome Pantalaimon Panagiotou, and he is head of the unit Information and Communication Technologies at the BayFOR, and he will tell us a little bit more about Horizon Europe and the opportunities for quantum technologies within your Horizon Europe. So, Pan, the virtual stage is yours. You have to unmute yourself, and then you can start.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you for the invitation. And unfortunately, my team colleague, Mr. Ebel, who is responsible for quantum technology, had an accident like this. I take over his talk. And meanwhile, I have access to Zoom. And let's try to check how I can deal with the talk. I just change the slides and look for the slides. Do I need to overtake the screen sharing?
Yeah, just share your screen with a green button, and then you have the full control over your presentation.
if you want, I can share the presentation and I go.
Okay,
just...
oh, okay. Do you have the new version? No, I got it now. I got it now. Thank you, Natalia. And thank you for organizing this event. So you see the slides?
Yeah, we see the PowerPoint in general. So if you start the presentation mode.
I
Perfect.
already presented
Yeah.
the BayFOR, so you can go directly to the disclaimer, to the next one.
Yeah, so very important. We are BayFOR is regional networked in the BayFOR and international networked in the Enterprise Europe network. And disclaimer: what Natalia mentioned is that we have officially started with the new framework program, which is called Horizon Europe. The former one is called Horizon 2020, and maybe the next one will be called Horizon World. We'll see. Unfortunately, to be honest, the calls are not yet publicated officially. That means since the calls are not yet publicated, nobody can, let's say, have the real, the official calls, and like this cannot yet submit according to the not yet officially submitted calls. So we need to wait up the calls. And we hope that the Commission will finalize his discussions with the member states in June, and maybe in July we're going to have the official publication. But let's see what happened, because we wait now since 3 months for the publications. But, and this is the big advantage from our side, we have, let's say, the draft versions. The draft versions are, let's say, close to the official, to the last version of the Commission, but we cannot really say if this draft version will be publicated as we have this. So first, I would like to mention let's say, the 3 pillars of the BayFOR services. This could be very interesting for you. The first pillar is the project administration for BayIntant. This is a small funding for Bavarian universities to apply for getting into international corporations. Like this, each professors in Bavaria can apply this BayIntant, this Bavarian funding program for initiation of international project at BayFOR, and like this, he can get, let's say, travel budget. With this, he can invite researchers from outside to Bavaria, or vice versa, go with this budget from Bavaria outside and visit researchers. So if you have contacts with university and with professors, keep in mind there's a possibility even for you to get into this possibility. The second and most important one of our services is the second pillar, is the advisory service, mainly for EU funds on research and innovation. And there we help, like now, in informing you, even in advise you in the calls of the Horizon Europe. And normally you need to have a consortium in the program if you want to apply in the proposal, and like this we help even in the partner research, and finally even in the application of your proposal. So we do not only inform and advise you and help you in the partner search, building up your consortium, we go deeper, helping you in the application support. And the third and important services too is the Enterprise Europe Network services. The Enterprise Europe Network is the world's biggest SME network, financed and initiated by the European Commission. And within this Enterprise Europe Network, BayFOR is partner and can even support, inform, advise SMEs on European projects. So little bit into detail for the first pillar, BayIntant, I told you this is a small financing possibility to get in touch with international cooperation partners. You can apply up to 10,000 euros. And with this budget, you can invite or you can travel to this foreign researchers. The second one, this is our full service provider, where BayFOR supports you in the first step in the information, in the second step in the advisory service, and the third and most important step is, let's say, partner research and active support in the whole application process. We help you not only with the template, but we help you, and this is very important because we have some scientific officers in the teams which can help you understanding your concept and transferring it to the idea of the topic of the commission, and find this bridge to the topic of the commission. The fourth step is the project implementation. This is the step after you have written your proposal and submitted, and hopefully you have the grant of the commission. Then sometimes you have some discussions and some implementations according to your proposal. You need to sometimes adopt, change some parts of your projects, and there we help you in the project and implementation. And the fifth step, there we help you even in the project management. We can be, but we do not need to be a fully applied partner in the consortium. The third step is the EN services. Natalia is the Enterprise Europe Network Manager. I guess she told you, and she showed already, she told you about the services. So BayFOR as a EU funding advisory services supports you in advisory services and application of EU funding, finding the right partners, and even support SMEs. And we do make even, let's say, in Germany, it's not famous, but we make some representation of your interest in Brussels in the Commission. And we make project management. So very important for us is to support you in appropriate way. Come as early as possible with your idea, with your concept to BayFOR. Like this, we can identify, according to your idea, the appropriate topic. We can identify, if you wish, even the consortium members in whole Europe. And this takes sometimes very long time. So take contact as early as possible with BayFOR. Now I would like to go a little bit into some, let's say, contents of the new framework program, which is now called Horizon Europe. It started already in January 2021 and takes 7 years. This is the, let's say, the preliminary structure. And we have 3 pillars here. And the first pillar is interesting for, let's say, basic research. For excellent science, this is more interesting for universities. First of all, the European Research Council, if some PhD would like to get funded to build up his own chair, or Marie Sklodowska-Curie, there's a very interesting instrument which could be interesting even for SMEs too, where you have the possibility, let's say, to make basic research. And if you look now the first pillar and look down, this is very interesting because this is no topics given. That means this is bottom up. With your idea, you can come on and build up a consortium and build up a proposal. And because it's a basic research, it's low TRL, what you see here downwards. If we go now to the next pillar, to the second pillar, to the middle pillar, this is, let's say, divided in 6 different clusters, and these different clusters are, let's say, attached to some thematical areas. The first one is health, then the second one is culture, then the third one is civil security. I don't want to tell all of this cluster, but the more important, more interesting cluster is for you the digital industry space, because within this 4th cluster, you're going to find some interesting topics according to your thematical areas, quantum space. And here in the second pillar, different to the first pillar, you have top down. That means the Commission publicates every year or every 2 years calls. And upon these calls and topics, you need to describe the solutions. And upon to these solutions, you get evaluated according to some predefined evaluation criteria. In the second pillar, you have higher TRL. In my next slide, I'm going to tell a little bit more about the technical readiness level. And the third pillar, this is, let's say, quite new and interesting for you too, because in this, you have the European Innovation Council, the European Innovation Ecosystem, and the European Institute of Innovation and Technology. The last two, I don't want to go in much into deep, but the first one, the European Innovation Council, is very interesting because there you have, let's say, some different instruments, and the most interesting for you can be the Pathfinder or the Accelerator, where some SMEs can apply, and this is now interesting too. Different to Pillar 2 is bottom up with your idea. You do not have predefined topics on thematics, but you have your possibility to come up with your idea and to write your proposal. This is very interesting, the third pillar for SMEs and startups mainly. In the next slide, I would like to tell a little bit about the technical readiness level and, let's say, the main idea of Horizon Europe, or the last framework program. In principle, we have the technical readiness level. This may be known to you. With TRL1, we make basic research, and with TRL9, we have, let's say, the finished prototype, or the finished product, or the finished services. And within TRL1 till TRL9, you have different TRLs. For example, TL5 is prototype or demonstrator for TL6. And there you have the possibility to get funded. But, and this is the point, the public funds do not fund till TL9. It funds only maximum till TL8. The private investments normally do not fund basic research. And this is a deviation, like here you see a gap, yeah, between the public funds in the low TL and the private investment in the high TL. And this is called and defined by the European Commission of the Valley of Death, because the Valley of Death, a good idea will be funded, a good idea in the basic research will be funded, and afterwards, no services, no products can be developed. And this need to be, let's say, closed, this Valley of Death. And this is closed by, let's say, in the next slides, I'm going to show you how the different pillars of Horizon Europe close this Valley of Death. And there you have the possibility to look up. Like in Marie's Curie, I showed you in Pillar 1, you have low TL. If you go now Pillar 2, you have different instruments, the research innovation actions. I can tell a little bit more about the research innovation actions and the innovation actions, which is a little bit more higher TRL. There you have the possibility to find your instruments. And here, once again, the third pillar, here you see the color code is violet. This is for SMEs, very interesting, or let's say for startups, which makes not basic research and would like to go from low TL to a little bit middle TL to the transition, and which I called former, you can follow up with an accelerator instrument. This could be very interesting for SMEs in the beginning, and afterwards for SMEs, for startups in the beginning, which will be funded or initiated out of the universities, and afterwards with the Pillar 3 transition or accelerator instrument, they can fund it too. So when we talk about the three pillars, I told you the first pillar and the third pillar, the first and the third pillar, a bottom-up approach. That means you can come up with your idea, and depending on your idea, on your innovation base, you can get granted. The middle pillar, the second pillar, this is a top-down. That means there the Commission defines a very dedicated topics every 2 years. And according to these dedicated topics, you need to have a concept, a solution, a methodology to define how you can, let's say, solve the defined problems of the topics. And in the Pillar 2 in the cluster 4, which is digital industry and space, we find different technology-driven topics. And this is defined in the 6 destinations in cluster 4. The destination 1 is about production. The destination 2 is about materials. The destination 3 is leading data. This is on computer technology. And destination 4 is computer technology 2, and more interesting for you, about quantum technology. There you can find the dedicated topics related to very specific concepts. I don't want to talk about destination 5 and 6. I would like to go a little bit deep into destination 4. And here in destination 4 of cluster 4, in the second pillar, you find, let's say, different thematical areas like topics on functional electronics or on photonics of 6G, AI, data, robotics, where you may, according to your idea, can apply for. And there you have quantum computing too, and it's very interesting to find some related topics to this too. Now we go a little bit more and more deeper into quantum technology and quantum flagship, which is initiated by the Commission too. And you see that the Commission would like to have a long-term funding according to quantum flagships, because the Commission identified for himself that it's not enough to fund with low budget, and it's not enough to fund only for some years, but they would like to have in more years funding of quantum flagships. And there you see already 24 funded projects within these topics. Quantum computing, simulation, communication, or sensing are funded already. The website of the projects you can find here. Here, once again, the application areas, because it's very important not only to fund the research and the development, but to identify for yourself in which area you would like to implement your ideas. And here the areas where you can implement your quantum computing is for communication, computing, simulation, and sensing. This is very important, even in your proposal, not only to define your methodology, not only to define your research, but define already the application areas. And it's very important for the Commission too, to have your market in view, where you would like to apply, implement your idea afterwards. So you can prove with your, let's say, methodology and with your research where you have the markets. This is now, we go deeper and deeper, and here's, let's say a little bit the history of funding quantum initiatives within Horizon or within the framework programs. The last framework program was called Horizon 2020. Now we have Horizon Europe, and there you can see we have an additional funding possibility which is called Digital Europe. But this I would like to leave out because it would take too much time. So if we go now once again to the second pillar, fourth cluster within the second pillar, and then the fourth destination, like here, of the fourth cluster, then we can look, let's say, dedicated for some topics we think that will be publicated hopefully soon by the Commission. And there are some topics on quantum technology, and there you need to understand why the Commission would like or do publicate on this. They would like to have the European, let's say, society or the European economy more independent, and would like to have the European industry as a leadership in the world. This with the support with quantum science and technology. We go now for quantum computing. There are some other interesting areas like AI, data, or robotics, and quantum computing is one of the most interesting, let's say, areas which will be funded by the Commission. And by the way, it's not a European item, but even the Bavarian high-tech agenda defined quantum computing as very important. Because I think we are lacking of time, I would like to accelerate and show you some dedicated topics which are related to quantum technology and where you may, according to your idea, may not need, but may you can apply for this topics. In principle, you have a full proposal, topics in 21, and there you have the possibility to apply for the framework program. And now I'll go into the topic slides, to the next slides. There, my colleague Robert Ebel would have told you a little bit more in detail. Now, if we talk about, let's say, quantum technology, where can we find a topic related to quantum technology? And this is dedicated to the area quantum technology in the area communications. There you can find the topics, and there you can look afterwards if your idea or where you're working on is, if this fits to these topics. If this is the case, you may take contact with us, with Robert Ebel, and ask for details and ask to support you. This is a topic where you can apply to. This is the topic cluster 4 for the year 21, number Digital Emerging 119. The next is once again in quantum communication, and there a little bit more detailed with an expected outcome in encryption for future quantum networks technology, to build up our network technology and to have a very secure network technology. There you can define with your methodology how to solve this encryption possibilities. This is once again a possibility to apply for, and you may have interest on this, so take contact with us. Here, some other topics too. This is topic 115 in cluster 4 for the year 21, framework partnership agreement for developing first large-scale quantum computers. This is large scale, that means there you should have large companies, not only no, let's say it like this. This is a large-scale quantum computers, but because it's a large-scale quantum computers, you may have some data centers and some big companies involved in this consortium. The next topic, which could be interesting for you too, is not for large-scale quantum computers, but for quantum simulation platforms. This could be interesting for you too, if you would like to apply and find the appropriate partners. Now a little bit about the budgets, to have a little bit, let's say, a sense how much you can apply for. And if we think now about the different topics and the different instruments, innovation action is a little bit more higher TL. There's a topic from the European Commission about 23 millions, and each project can be between can be between 7 and 10 million euros. If you keep this in mind, about, let's say, 10 million euros, and we have about 23 projects, yeah, we can think about 2 till 3 projects will be funded on quantum sensing technology topic. And if we think now about 10 million euro proposal with a duration of, let's say, 3 years, you can imagine how many partners you need. You need minimum 5, better 7 or 10 partners to fulfill all the skills, not only to fulfill, let's say, the budget, but to fulfill the big topic which is standing behind. The next generation quantum sensing technology, once again, the European Commission have 14 million euros, and each project may be between 7 and 10 million euros. There you can think about, once again, 2 projects will be funded. And because this is a research innovation action, this is lower TL. In the slides before I showed you, this is about TL3. The next, international cooperation with Canada, this is very interesting. There you should have a cooperation with a Canadian partner. This is very important because it's an international cooperation with Canada. And you see, because this is not so much into, let's say, research or innovation, but more on cooperation, the budget which is committed by the Commission is only 3.5 million. And the project budget should be 3.5 million too. That means only one project will be funded within this topic because it's about cooperation and not research. And now, if we go to the next topic, this is support and coordination action on quantum technology flagship initiatives. This is the initiatives I showed you before. This is a CSA coordination support action. There the Commission have 6.4 million, and their Commission would like to have only one project dedicated on it. And this could be about 6.4 million euros too. Now, the last topics I would like to mention is the investing in new emerging quantum technologies. This is a little bit, once again, here, research innovation actions, low TL. There, it's up to you to investigate on new possibility, new emerging high-risk technologies. And there you have only, but still, high amount from the Commission of 5 million euros, and the project will be about 5 million euros. That means only one project will be funded. Up to now, it's okay. Does anybody have some questions? No? Okay. Do I have more time or shall I accelerate?
I think you can go on, but you can accelerate it a little bit. So yeah.
Okay, so I accelerate. I always told about the innovation actions. The innovation actions are higher TL. That means a little bit higher TL, up to 8, maximum 8, up to 10 million euros. And there you have a budget for the Commission. This is once again all the slides, the topics I showed you, but here more in detail. The deadline up to now, we don't know if they change the deadline for submission of the whole proposal is the beginning of September. If now the Commission, let's say, will publicate the topics, let's say July, then it could be shifted the deadline, but we don't know yet. So I would leave out these slides because these slides are all more detailed about the topics I showed you before. Yeah. This could be interesting for you too, if you are interested in more quantum technology. In Munich Quantum Valley, maybe known for you. And so I accelerated and finalized my talk. Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you. And I'm available for upcoming questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so there are first questions, and yeah, for all the others, please don't hesitate to put your questions in the chat or in the Q&A box, and on YouTube also in the chat. So one first question would be, are those funding applicable for European entities only? And how could academia outside of Europe apply to those fundings, if possible, or get involved somehow within projects related to these topics?
This is a good question. Let's say it like this: one point, because the Commission did not yet publicate it already, is because they have some discussions with not only with the member states, but even with some other countries outside of Europe for association. You know, like Switzerland, you know, is not sure if they may participate. Like, okay, UK, they may participate. Norway is very sure, although they are not European member states, but they can participate. partners like, for example, like in this case, Canada, they may participate, high income countries can participate too. But we need to look into detail which country, and we need to wait up the negotiation between European Commission and the other non-European states.
And do you think they can also receive funding, or can only be a part of the consortium?
Up to now, it was like this. Let's say it like this: yes, they can receive some fundings if the negotiation between the European Commission and the state, like Switzerland, for example, is for sure. Norway is for sure they can receive. You know. It depends what the negotiation is, and this is now the breaking point, because of some, let's say, negotiation with some states in the world. The topics are not yet publicated, but there are some other hints too, you know. And you ask now the second question, if the university can apply for.
Yeah, if academia outside of Europe can apply.
Yeah, if it's the same thing, academia or companies, if they are like, for example, from Norway, they can apply. If they are for Switzerland, we need to wait the negotiation.
Okay. I think especially in quantum technologies, there are some sensitive topics which will be not where outside of European countries, they will be not able to participate, but in the others, I think they will be. This is my information so far, but yeah, we have to wait until the calls are published. That's right. There is also the special question about UK businesses, if they are able to receive funding within Horizon Europe. Do you know anything about this?
To be honest, there was some publication about this, but I didn't follow up, and I don't want to tell now because I didn't follow up into detail. But maybe Natalia knows a little bit more. Yeah.
As far as I know, they can participate, but they have to find the right national fund in order to be funded. They are eligible to participate in the projects, but they are not going to be funded by the European Commission, but from the national fund. So it depends on the availability of the national funds. But in this case, there are also a lot of very good supporting organizations in UK that are very well aware about the availability of public funds for that.
Okay, thank you very much. And another question is, are there opportunities for theoretical researchers in these funding schemes?
Okay, now we go into basic research. This is nice because I made experimental physics, and I admired the theoretical physicians, because they had only weapon was their mind, the brain, and the pencil. So yes, they can participate too. It depends, and this is very important. I showed you the first pillar and the second pillar. This is bottom-up approach. You know, there's no topics, and it depends. And I showed you the correlation between the pillars, the 3 pillars, and the TRL. So I think the theoreticians may very important in low TRL or for simulations. Yes, they can apply for sure. Why not?
Yeah, I think a good example is the coordinator of the Open SuperQ project at the moment. It's Frank Wilhelm Mauch. He's a theoretical physicist, and so yeah, I think they are able to participate. Sure. Okay, yeah, because we are a little bit over the time, I would say we go on with the networking, and all the participants are able to discuss the questions or further questions with the experts here. And you can also connect with potential project partners. And yeah, for this, just let me share one last slide.